Hello everyone and welcome back to the Retro Recall. I hope you're doing awesome. Today we have an HP notebook that was found in a thrift store that I paid 20 Canadian dollars for. Did I get ripped off? Is it worth it? Is it junk? Is it a parts machine? No idea. I wasn't able to get this machine going in the store. I hemmed and hawed about whether or not I was going to take it home, but I thought, you know what? I take the risk. It's $20, which is more than I normally would pay for a machine like this, but I don't see a lot of these in the wild. And, you know, when I saw it, I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to grab it. We're going to take the risk. And I'm pretty sure I showed it during our first thrift finds, the Retro Recall thrift finds video that I had done. And I had shown it on video, but again, not knowing what I could do with it. So hopefully in today's video, we'll do a walk around of the actual machine, see what kind of components there are, see if we can get it going, and go from there. So let's get right to it. Okay, and we're back, and we're going to find out if I wasted $20 or this is something that's going to be able to be cleaned up and functional as opposed to just a paperweight. Okay, let's just kind of go over the machine first, and then we'll open it up and continue to look on the inside of the machine. So, I mean, I just love when I get machines like this out in the wild. I love looking at these machines. I like to see, you know, it kind of brings me back to, you know, this machine is probably from the early 2000s, mid 2000s. And, you know, when I see something like this, I just go, you know, I really like this. And if you remember, I did a similar video on my Dell Inspiron 5100 machine. And that was, I believe, within the same class as this machine. I'm just going to send a picture right here to show everyone. But yeah, if you haven't seen that video, please take a look. But I mean, it was a great machine. And you know, of that time, it was considered a desktop replacement machine. In the early to mid 2000s, the desktop replacement was a huge fad, you know, putting desktop CPUs, power-hungry components in a portable form factor, one that you could actually take, you could game on, and all those wonderful things that you would do back then on a desktop, you could do arguably on a laptop. But they came with heavy bricks. They were super heavy. I mean, this is not light by any means. And yeah, so that was the big crave at the time. Let's kind of go over the machine real quick here. So we have the top lid with the HP logo on the front. I mean, the machine is quite dirty, lots of scratches on it, some residue from the price tag that was on the machine. And on the front, we have our front clasp. So this is just to open up the lid. What I like about this is right away it caught my eye was Harman Kardon. Harman Kardon's not any slouch by any means, but to have that in a laptop is quite nice. And one of the things I had mentioned about the Dell Inspiron 5100 that I had done a review on is that the audio just was terrible on that machine. It was very tinny. And, you know, despite the fact they called it desktop replacement, the performance was definitely there, but not the sound. So it's nice to see that. And adding into even more that this was more multimedia focused in terms of a desktop replacement is on the front, we have some audio buttons here on the front to control. So we have the mute button on the front here, the volume down and volume up buttons. And, you know, to have quick access keys to that is quite awesome. And they would activate some sort of, you know, manufactured software built on that would control the operating system to say, hey, mute the audio, turn it up, turn it down, all that. And on the front, we also have some lights. We have the power button, or power light, I should say, the hard drive activity, and the, looks like a charging, a little lightning bolt. So I assume that's for showing when it's charging. Let's just rotate it clockwise here and see what else we have. So lots and lots more ports here. So we have your headset and your microphone. Here we have a USB here as well. Here we have, I'm not sure what we have. We have a proprietary, it looks like a proprietary port for Hewlett-Packard that they would have used for an external peripheral of some kind. It just shows a computer with an arrow going left and right into the side of the case here. So of the chassis. So I'm not sure if that's something like an external CD-ROM drive or an external floppy drive or an external expansion. By the time I do my editing, I'm going to look that up and I will post it on the screen here as to what that is. And then over here, we have our built-in Ethernet. So I don't know if this is 10100 or if this is gigabit. We'll find out. And we have S video out expansion here as well, which was in the 2000s, early 2000s, very popular. Hooking it up to external TV via S video. You had better quality than VGA, arguably, for that. So it was great having that built in. Again, lots of stuff already. And you can see how thick this laptop is already. And based on what I read online, the specs of this is 1.82 inches thick. I mean, we take for granted what we have today for sure. Okay, on the back, we have that power adapter cord. Now, this did not come with a power adapter, nor could I find one easily. So I do have one now for the machine. So special call out to Aaron again for getting me one that was the right voltage and the right amperage to be able to power up this machine. I had quite a journey trying to find one outside of trying, I could order one online, but I was, everyone wants anywhere between $30 and $100 for one. And I was like, no, I'll find one eventually. And sure enough, Aaron had one in his bin full of parts. So thanks again, Aaron, for supporting the channel. And thanks again for the donation and getting this laptop up and running for all of the awesome Retro Recaller viewers. Okay, so we have the video out, the regular VGA out here, which is standard on machine. And then we also have our LPT port, our printer port as well on this, which it's also awesome. And it looks like we also have a modem in here as well. And usually, it's funny, it just was a little phone jack here, but usually I'm used to seeing those right next to the Ethernet port. So it is broken out on this machine. Let's go to the other side here while we keep on spinning around. It looks like we have the Kensington lock here, which is very standard laptops of the era. Even today, we have Kensington lock slots as well, so you can bolt it down to a table, back of your car, whatever. We have the PCM-CIA slot here as well, so we just have some fillers in here, but it kind of gives you the option and the expansion for different types of PCM-CIA. So great to have that as expansion in case, you needed to add extra ports that weren't involved or weren't on here, or if you were already using them all, you could expand it even further. And then we have additional USB ports. So I think I'm counting 3 now, so that's awesome. And then we also have what looks like a DVD-ROM drive. So it says CDRW, so compact disc rewritable, but it also is just DVD-ROM. So it's not a DVD burner, so it's a CDRW. Okay, here we are with it all opened up and in kind of frame for what we're trying to look for here. So let's go top to bottom as we go here. So I'm not seeing any webcam on this, and that's something that came later in life in terms of laptops. I mean, you'd still have your USB ports. You hook up an external webcam if that's what you wanted, or set it up on the desk. That was still the era that happened. And I love how they left the sticker on here. 30% more screen information versus 15-inch XGA, 15.4-inch high-def widescreen monitor. So we have a 15.4-inch high-def widescreen. And then it's also 18% larger. I feel like we should have this big reveal or something. Anyway, 18% larger picture when viewing widescreen movies versus a 15-inch XGA screen. So, I mean, I'm not going to do all the math on this, but definitely they're boasting that this is a much better screen. Now, one thing I don't like about this machine right away, I mean, even if I was going back to 2004 when this machine was supposed to be released, is I don't like glossy screens. I never have. I've always been in business with laptops, at least with myself. I've always worked with ThinkPads and other machines that were more geared for business, which usually had a matte screen on the front. And as a result of the matte screen, I had what I found either better viewing angles, or if you were in a well-lit room or a too-lit room or working on, outside, the sun wouldn't bother you. So that's something that definitely was a drawback for me. Others love this because it would enhance the quality, similar to, trying to mirror what a CRT would be like in the glass front. But even CRTs had anti-glare on them. So to me, this was more of a drawback, but I mean, I'll let everyone else decide. So we have our HP logo here, and the screen seems to be in good condition other than the multiple fingerprints. And again, another drawback for me. And then we have our power button, and we also have some quick keys here, some hotkeys on the front here. Let's just tilt it up so everybody can see that as well. So we have what looks like a camera quick access key. It looks like a media quick access key. I mean, I don't know if that would play your audio, play media that you'd have. And then we have www, which I only would think that would be, it would launch a web browser of some sort. And then we have our branding here, our model number of HP Pavilion. ZV as in Victor, 5000 is the model. We have the wireless button here that I imagine would turn on and off the wireless functionality of the machine itself. We have two what look like speaker outputs, but I'm thinking these are more vents, I would think. This machine having a Pentium 4 CPU, again, not knowing the exact processor that's in this just yet, would run hot. This specific keyboard, I don't mind typing on. I'm a pro ThinkPad when it comes to the keyboard itself. I love ThinkPad keyboards. And, you know, you've heard me say that on the channel multiple times. But the actual feeling of this keyboard is not terrible, is what I'll say. It's mushy, but not terrible. So that's that. On the top of the, you see that these little white markings here. So over here we have two USB symbols. So quick access. So instead of you having to move your head around or turn the machine around or look around, you'd have quick access to the, where the certain ports were. So I found that to be quite neat on this laptop. Our Pentium 4 inside, Intel inside, Pentium 4 sticker and designed for Windows XP. So would be not surprised that when we get this fired up, that is what's on there. And then here we have our mouse trackpad. And then we have our left mouse, right mouse, click, buttons. I mean, they're pretty standard. So we have the machine plugged in and the charge light was on. Now it's off. So I imagine it is fine. I did have it plugged in for a while earlier. One thing I want to mention is this machine was owned by someone. So when I was finally able to get the machine at least powered up, I like to do that with some of these machines. Sure enough, this machine was chock full of personal information. We had pictures and personal data up the yin-yang on this machine. So please, everybody, if you're getting rid of your machines, destroy your data, get the hard drive out, drill holes through it, recycle that separately. Don't trust that the next person getting this machine has your good nature at heart. You know, make sure that you do that. Word of the wise, definitely important. Okay, let's power up this machine. And we're going to have a generic profile on this machine because I didn't want to display anybody's names and go through all the hassle of trying to blank out everything on the machine when we were doing that. What I want to do here is just when I turn the machine on, I want to go into setup and just see what we have in the BIOS. Here we are all turned on and zoomed into the screen so we have a better view. So let's go through here. So we have the boot menu. And I hit escape at the beginning just to get into the CMOS. So I want to go down here. We're going to enter setup. Here we are. And our first glimpse at this machine. So the first thing I'm seeing is the system time and system date. So right away, the coin cell battery that's in this machine is dead. Needs to be replaced. So we'll end up probably having to do that. Notebook model. So we have our Pavilion ZV5000. And then a more specific model to be able to get more information. System board ID. So we have a CPU of an Intel Pentium 4, and this is the desktop version of this processor. We have a 2.8 gigahertz processor, which is quite nice. We have 384 megabytes of system memory. I read online that this had come with 256, so this had been upgraded by 128, it seems. Now, can we get more out of it? Not sure. I definitely want to explore that option. Under security, we have administrative passwords. We don't have any of that turned on, which is great. Under device security, we have floppy boot enabled and CD-ROM boot enabled. You can turn those off and set additional security parameters. We're not doing any of that today. Under advanced, we have our boot order, which floppy, our CD-ROM drive, hard drive, network adapter. We're not touching any of that. And accessibility options. So we have parallel port mode we can change on and video memory. Now the video memory is set to 128 megabytes, which is set to the maximum. So it is actually using shared memory, I believe, on this. So if it is, someone may have upgraded, because the core memory was 256. Now they may have upgraded it by the 128 to dedicate that RAM to the onboard video that's on here. So we're going to exit discarding any changes. I didn't make any changes, but it's always good to do that. And the machine should start booting up. So we're going to try to go into Windows. The Windows XP startup never gets old. Now, one thing I am noticing, though, is the system is quite laggy. I haven't done anything with this machine in terms of, upgrades, software removals, whatever. All I did was delete the profile and create a new one. I mean, maybe what we could do is, get the factory CDs. And sometimes that's not always good either, because the HP stuff that comes with this, or any sort of OEM that gives you this sort of software, tends to have what we call bloatware, which is just stuff that's installed in the machine that really starts to bog it down or try to run when Windows is starting up. It could be doing that right now. Like, it's still trying to start up and load applications. It's still trying to load the items on the taskbar. And I think that that's probably what's happening. So we have a couple options. We can install, reformat, install it using the recovery CDs or recovery partition if there is one on this drive, or we can just install from scratch a fresh install of Windows, just install the drivers that are required, and then that way we're running on clean system. Now, the thing we would lose from that, outside of having to go and handpick on the internet to try to find the applications, would be the soft touch menus, to load up the Internet Explorer, for example, or the web browser by hitting the www button, or going down to the front of the machine and turning up the volume and turning it down, things like that. Let's go into my computer. Let's just see exactly what is on this system. Come on, computer. I know you can do it. Under Device Manager. And again, the system is extremely sluggish. Now, I just jump cut to this scene, but then real life, that was about 1 minute and 30 seconds to open up that window. All right, let's look through this. So we have our batteries, which is pretty standard. Our computer is pretty standard. Disk drives. So we have a Hitachi DK23FA-40. Now, that said, let's take a quick look and see what we have in terms of capacity. Is a 40 gigabyte drive? Is that what it's going to tell me? And it's showing, yeah, it's a 40 gigabyte drive with free space of 24 gigs. So there's definitely a pile of stuff still on this desktop, or on this laptop, sorry. So I think a fresh install will definitely do it justice. Display adapters, ATI Mobility Radeon 9000 or 9100 IGP. Integrated Graphics Port is what I believe what IGP stands for. They said that this machine in the advertisement was cutting edge gaming experience for mid-2000s media. So we'll see what it can do. DVD, so we have our DVD drive, but it's just basically a CDRW. Floppy disk controllers, keyboards, mice, modems. We have an Adgear Systems, AC97 modems. We have our network. So our network is just a BG wireless LAN, so it won't go on my network here because I don't have G or B protocols allowed. And then we have our fast Ethernet, a Realtek 8139/810X. So I'm not exactly sure if that is gigabit or not. PCM-CIA adapters. We have our controllers, our processors. We have our Pentium 4 CPU, which we know. For sound, we have it says SoundMax integrated digital audio. I mean, outside of the powerful processor and hopefully some more room to upgrade some memory, it's not, and also sporting some decent speakers, it's not housing quite a bit of power, I don't think. It's sort of sucking a lot of power out of that outlet up there. I think what we should do is, we've decided, the computer is extremely sluggish. I'm going to go ahead and do a security wipe on the PC and start the Windows XP Professional installation, get that installed, get to a much better state, and see where we are. Okay, and here we are back to the desktop. Let's see exactly what it has installed in terms of drivers and see what we have in terms of the computer here. So we have XP Professional 2002, Service Pack 3. Just because we had used that. Let's check our hardware and device manager here. And there's lots of stuff not installed here. So let me get those all installed now. And we're back with the operating system installed on this beautiful HP machine. And if you notice the HP wallpaper, I'll talk about that in just a moment, we also have the drivers installed on the machine itself. So let's go ahead and show everybody that. So on the actual drivers, I was having some difficulty getting the drivers installed on this machine because I wasn't able to locate them. I was able to go on the HP website and it showed, of course, oh, no, it's not available, can't do it anymore, etc. So I was able to go on archive.org, thankfully, to all the users that upload that stuff and find the original driver installation CD, or DVD, I should say. So I was able to install those all except for the PCI modem, and that's fine for now until I find it. I, quite frankly, don't plan on going on dial-up anytime soon. And I do realize that we have Snappy Driver Installer available and other driver utilities. I'll use one of those when I get a copy of that and install it. Now, I will tell you that the panel itself is growing on me. The quality of this screen is really, really good. And, I was using it to install some games here in a moment, which we'll try. And I was able, visualization, some themes. And as the drivers were installing, I just got used to using this panel, and the quality and the sharpness and the quality of the colors are just really, really, really good. But I also want to talk about the sound for a moment on this machine. I am not disappointed in the speakers in this system. I'm going to go ahead and load up Windows Media Player and play the Windows XP sample music that comes with this, just to kind of give you guys an idea. I can't play on the other music at the moment just because I don't have any royalty-free stuff and YouTube and rules and all that stuff. But I want to get that going, and I'm going to show you right now. I mean, the sound is just really good, and in person it's even better. Let's just jump into Age of Empires 3 just to get a kind of feeling of the sound and the video and the experience all around.
Move the crossbow to the forward walls to attack the Janissaries. Defend the fort at all costs. Cecil.
You can see during the gameplay of the game that there's definitely some challenges with the video card. I mean, there's a pile of heat being poured out of this machine. It's working hard to keep up with this game, and you can see during the gameplay there's quite a bit of flickering and artifacts on the gameplay itself, on the video graphics. And I do have all of the settings turned down on this game to low, and I also have any sort of feature-rich settings turned off as well. So yeah, definitely struggling. This notebook definitely struggles with this game, and this machine definitely would have benefited from a dedicated graphics card, especially where it's so multimedia focused. At least that's my takeaway from it. But let's continue on. Now let's try out some Far Cry, and Far Cry would have been released in March of 2004, which is around the same time when this machine would have been manufactured. So let's see if we experience the same issues we were just witnessing with Age of Empires 3.
gotta find a way out of here.
Okay, so you can see here during the startup, it was a little choppy and then continued to catch up and went through the intro. And, you know, the overall gameplay is not terrible. It is definitely playable. Unfortunately, again, I have all the settings turned down quite low. The moment that I increased any of the settings, the detail to anything other than low, so medium, high, performance, it instantly started to become extremely choppy. So again, playable for sure. But again, if purchasing this machine back in 2004, boasting the multimedia aspects and then experiencing some of these with the games that were being released at the same time, definitely would have been, I would say, probably a disappointment. But again, let's continue on here.
Listen, dirtbag, keep an eye out for some punk in a red Hawaiian shirt. If you see him, call me at once. Am I understood? Yes, sir. I'm heading out.
Hello? Are you there? Pick up the radio if you can hear this. I know you're there. I've been tracking you since you and Val arrived. Who are you? I'm the guy who's going to tell you how to survive.
And here we have it. We have the thrift store find of the century. No, I'm just kidding. It was definitely something that was worth the $20, in my opinion. You know, I've experienced some slowness in the system, installed Windows XP on this. I wiped the system completely, got rid of the bloatware that was installed as a result of the previous installation. I installed selectively, utilizing that original disk that I was able to get from archive.org. That would have come with this system. I selectively installed the software I wanted on this system to make it custom for something of performance, the best I could squeeze out of this machine. Now, could I upgrade some memory? Yes. If this had dedicated video graphics, I would be even more ecstatic. But those speakers, I can't keep on saying it enough. I am very impressed with the feeling that I get when I'm playing the music, playing the games, immersing myself in them. And, you know, you never know what you're going to find in a thrift store. You never know what's going to be thrown to e-waste. You never know what you're going to find. And again, even in a thrift store, if they don't sell it, you know, this computer wasn't able to be turned on. And quite frankly, it took me a bit to find a power cord for it. It's unfortunate that these things get tossed. I am quite impressed with this HP Pavilion laptop. I would argue, again, that a desktop replacement, yeah, I mean, I could see it. I will tell you, though, it runs hot, and it runs a lot hotter than the Dell Inspire 5100 that we had on the channel previously. I'm very excited to have this laptop in my collection. It deserves a proper cleanup. It deserves a scrubbing down. I'm going to, you know, maybe in a future video, take this all apart, do a complete cleanup of the inside of the machine, maybe apply some new thermal paste to that processor, because I'm pretty confident that it hasn't been touched since 2004. Probably just dust now. So that would probably help the system quite a bit. For $20, I'm happy with the result. If you like today's video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button, change it to all. You'll be notified when I release new content such as this. Please comment down below. I love the comments. I try to reply to absolutely everybody that I can. So happy you guys are supporting the channel. See you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.